Here is something that almost nobody is telling you, and it is quietly making one of the most powerful foods you already eat work at a fraction of its actual potential. If you eat tomatoes regularly, whether that is in a salad, sliced on the side of your plate, or blended into a sauce, you are already doing something genuinely good for your body. But there is one small thing most people never do, and it is the exact thing that determines how much of the most important compound inside that tomato your blood vessels actually get to use. The part you are missing is directly connected to nitric oxide, one of the most researched molecules in circulation science, and one of the most important things your blood vessels depend on every single day to keep you feeling steady, clear, and like yourself. Welcome back to Wellness Daily. This channel exists for exactly one reason: to take real, published nutrition science and explain it in plain, honest language that actually makes sense in your daily life. No fear, no miracle claims, no products to sell, just what the research says and how you can use it starting tonight in your own kitchen. By the end of this video, you will understand one simple pairing, something you can do with a food you are probably already eating that may meaningfully change how much your body is actually getting from every tomato you eat. Stay with me all the way to the end, because I will walk you through 3 specific ways to do this, including one that works beautifully even if you are not a fan of raw tomatoes at all. That last one might honestly be the most powerful version of everything we are about to talk about. Let me start with the foundation, and I promise to keep it clear. Inside your body right now, there is a molecule called nitric oxide. I want you to picture your arteries like a flexible garden hose. When that hose is soft, open, and relaxed, water moves through it effortlessly. There is no pressure building up, no strain anywhere along the line, and everything downstream gets exactly what it needs. That is a fairly accurate picture of what nitric oxide does for your blood vessels. It helps the walls of your arteries stay relaxed and open so blood can move through freely, oxygen can travel where it needs to go, nutrients can reach your brain, your muscles, and your organs without resistance, and your heart does not have to work overtime to push everything through a system that has become tight and stiff. As the body ages, its natural ability to produce nitric oxide tends to gradually decline. This is not dramatic or sudden. It is quiet, slow, and easy to miss. Researchers describe it as a well-recognized feature of how blood vessels change over time, and it is one of the reasons that the kind of effortless, clear energy and comfortable blood pressure that felt automatic at 30 can start to feel just a little harder to hold on to later in life. The body is producing slightly less of the molecule that kept everything running so smoothly. But here is the part that genuinely matters, and the reason this video exists. Nitric oxide production is not fixed. It is not some switch that simply gets turned down permanently with no way back. It responds in a real and studied way to what you actually give your body. It responds to movement, to rest, and very directly to specific compounds found in real, ordinary food. And one of the most interesting and most studied of those foods is something almost every household in the world already has sitting on the counter or in the refrigerator right now: the tomato. The tomato contains something called lycopene. It is a natural plant pigment, the very thing that gives a ripe tomato its deep red color, and it belongs to a family of compounds called carotenoids. Lycopene is one of the most extensively studied antioxidants in the entire plant kingdom. Nutrition researchers have looked at it from nearly every angle, and what keeps coming up again and again is its connection to vascular health, to the health of the blood vessel wall itself. Research published in peer-reviewed journals has found that lycopene supports healthy endothelial function. The endothelium is the thin layer of cells lining the inside of your blood vessels, and it is exactly where nitric oxide is produced. When the endothelium is under stress, when it is exposed to too much oxidative damage over time, its ability to produce nitric oxide goes down. Lycopene as an antioxidant has been studied for its ability to help reduce that oxidative pressure on the blood vessel wall. One study found that lycopene increased nitric oxide bioavailability in endothelial cells directly. Another clinical trial found that regular lycopene intake was associated with improved endothelial function in healthy adults, measured through a standard test of blood vessel flexibility called flow-mediated dilation. These are not fringe findings. This is published, peer-reviewed science looking at a real mechanism in a real human tissue. And yet, Almost every conversation about eating more tomatoes stops right there, at the point where you find out they are good for you, without ever telling you the one thing that determines whether your body actually absorbs what they have to offer. Stay with me here, because what comes next changes everything about how you should be eating this vegetable. Lycopene is fat-soluble. 2 words, but they change the entire picture of what happens inside your digestive system when you eat a tomato. Let me explain exactly what that means without any complicated language. Think about what happens when you pour a small amount of oil into a glass of water and try to stir them together. No matter how long you mix it, they separate almost immediately. The oil floats right back to the top. Your digestive system works in a similar way when it comes to certain plant compounds. Lycopene is built by nature to travel through fat, not through water. When you eat a tomato completely on its own, with absolutely no fat in that same meal, your gut has a very hard time absorbing the lycopene efficiently. A significant portion of what that tomato was offering simply passes through your digestive system without ever making it into your bloodstream in a form your body can actually use. This is one of the most consistently supported ideas in carotenoid nutrition science. Multiple human studies have found that lycopene bioavailability, meaning how much of it actually gets absorbed and reaches the blood, goes up substantially when tomatoes are eaten alongside a dietary fat. One controlled human trial found that all lycopene forms in the blood increased significantly when olive oil was added to tomato juice, compared to tomato juice consumed completely alone. The difference was not small or marginal. It was the kind of difference that genuinely matters for what your blood vessels are actually receiving. So if you have been eating tomato slices on a dry plate, or adding them to a salad with no dressing, or cutting them up and eating them as a plain snack and wondering why you are not feeling the kind of difference you expected, this is most likely why. Your body was simply not absorbing the lycopene that tomato had to offer. And that means the connection to nitric oxide, the connection to your blood vessel health, was largely going unrealized with every bite. Let us fix that right now. Here is the simple shift, and it requires nothing expensive, nothing new, and nothing you do not already have at home. Pair your tomato with a source of healthy fat, and one of the most studied, most effective options for this is extra virgin olive oil. Here is what actually happens when you put these two together. When fat is present in the same meal as the tomato, it creates a kind of internal transport system. Picture it like a small fleet of delivery vehicles. Without those vehicles, lycopene is standing on the side of the road with nowhere to go. Your gut does not have an efficient mechanism to pick it up and move it into the bloodstream on its own. But the fat from the olive oil helps carry lycopene through the digestive process, supports its passage into the lymphatic system, and from there into circulation, where it can finally reach the blood vessel wall, interact with the endothelium, and do what the research shows it is capable of doing. Extra virgin olive oil adds something important of its own to this equation as well. Good quality olive oil contains a family of natural plant compounds called polyphenols. These have themselves been extensively studied for their role in supporting healthy blood vessel function and helping the body manage everyday inflammation in the vascular system. So when you combine tomato with extra virgin olive oil, you are not only improving the delivery of lycopene into your bloodstream, you are also adding a second set of vascular supportive compounds at exactly the same time. 2 mechanisms, 2 directions of support, from 2 ingredients that most people already have within arm's reach. And I want to be completely honest with you about what this means. This is a real, food-based habit grounded in genuine nutrition science about how fat-soluble compounds are absorbed. It is not a guaranteed treatment, and it works best as one consistent part of an overall healthy way of eating. It is not a replacement for anything your own doctor has already recommended to you. But the underlying science here is solid, studied, and reproducible. Let me give you a simple way to picture what the difference actually looks like in everyday terms. Imagine 2 people, similar ages, similar overall diets, both eating tomatoes regularly because they have heard it is good for their health. One eats tomatoes exactly as they always have, plain, on their own, with nothing else. The other starts adding 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil every single time they eat tomatoes. Tomatoes, same frequency, same amount. The only variable between them is that one small addition. And based on everything we know from the science of carotenoid absorption, The second person is getting meaningfully more lycopene into their bloodstream with every single meal, more lycopene reaching the endothelium, more support for the cells that produce nitric oxide, more of everything that tomato was always offering, simply because the conditions for absorption were finally right. That is what this video is really about. It was never about eating more tomatoes. It is about making the tomatoes you are already eating actually count. Now let me give you 3 specific practical ways to do this starting tonight. No special ingredients, no complicated preparation, just real food used the right way. The first method is the most direct and the easiest place to start. Slice 2 or 3 ripe tomatoes, red or vine ripened, into rounds or wedges, the same way you might put them in a salad or serve them alongside a meal. Drizzle 1 full tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil directly over the top. Add a small pinch of sea salt and a few fresh basil leaves if you have them. Then let it rest for about 5 minutes before you eat it. That short resting period allows the olive oil to coat the tomato fully, so that from the very first bite, the fat and the lycopene are together in your mouth, your stomach, and your digestive system at exactly the same time. This works alongside any meal at all. The easiest way to make it stick long-term is to attach it to something you already do at a regular time each day. Stack it onto an existing habit, and it becomes automatic without requiring any decision or willpower. The second method works especially well for anyone who wants a little more flavor complexity, or for anyone who finds plain sliced tomatoes a bit too simple or too mild on their own. Dice your tomatoes finely, almost into a soft, chunky texture. Combine them with extra virgin olive oil, a generous squeeze of fresh lemon juice, a small amount of finely minced garlic, and a pinch of sea salt. The lemon here is not just for taste. Vitamin C is a nutrient that has been studied for its own supporting role in blood vessel health and in protecting nitric oxide from being broken down too quickly in circulation. The garlic adds natural sulfur compounds that have their own long history in vascular nutrition research. Together, this becomes a genuinely layered mixture that works beautifully spooned over grilled fish, stirred into cooked whole grains, or spread across a piece of whole grain toast. It keeps well in the refrigerator for up to 2 days, which means you can prepare a full batch once and have it ready without any extra effort across several meals. The third method is for anyone who does not enjoy raw tomatoes in any form, or for anyone whose stomach finds raw preparations too acidic or too sharp. This one also happens to be the version where the science of lycopene absorption is actually working most powerfully in your favor. Slowly cook whole or halved tomatoes in a pan with extra virgin olive oil over a gentle heat until they collapse into a soft, rich, almost jammy texture. What heat does to lycopene is genuinely fascinating. It actually converts lycopene from its raw form into a different molecular shape, one that research has found to be easier for the human body to absorb than the lycopene in fresh tomatoes. Combined with the fat from the olive oil, this slow-cooked version may represent the highest bioavailability version of this entire pairing. Season it simply with sea salt and a little fresh thyme or oregano. Use it as a sauce over eggs in the morning, stir it through pasta at dinner, or serve it as a warm side dish alongside whatever you are already making. It is deeply flavorful, naturally sweet, and easier on digestion than anything raw. Here is what I want you to carry with you from today. Your body's ability to support healthy nitric oxide production and keep your blood vessels working the way they are designed to work is not some fixed, inevitably declining thing with no meaningful way to support it. It responds in a real and documented way to what you actually give it. Real food, used the way both nature and basic digestive science actually work together, can make a genuine difference over time, quietly and consistently in the background of everyday life. This was never about fear. It was never about a supplement or a product or some complicated intervention. It is about one small, entirely free change to a habit that many of you may already have, using something that has been sitting in your kitchen the whole time, just used a little more effectively than before. One honest note before we wrap up. Everything covered in this video reflects current nutrition science on how fat-soluble compounds like lycopene are absorbed and on lycopene's studied connection to endothelial and vascular health. It is for general educational purposes only. It is not medical advice, and it is not a substitute for guidance from your own physician, particularly if you have an existing cardiovascular condition, if you are on any prescribed medication, or if you have any other diagnosed health concern. Please speak with your doctor before making significant changes to your diet. If this gave you something useful today, hit the thumbs up. It takes 2 seconds and it genuinely helps this information reach more people who could benefit from it. Subscribe to Wellness Daily if you are not already there, so you do not miss what comes next. We publish practical, research-grounded content like this every single week, built entirely around giving you real, usable information you can actually act on starting today. And drop a comment below. Are you going to try the tomato and olive oil combination tonight? And if you already eat tomatoes regularly, tell me how you usually have them, because I read every single comment, and what you share genuinely shapes what we cover next here on Wellness Daily. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.